Hey guys, welcome back to the part 2 of the task count on app series. In this video, we'll write the code for customizing the views in the new task view controller, and we'll also add a logic for computing the hours, minutes and seconds. If you're new to this video, then you can check out the previous part by clicking on the link above. In that video, we initialized the project, set up the base architecture, created the base UI and wrote the functions in the view model. Alright, let's get started guys. Let's start by changing the background color of the name description container view. We'll change it to a darker color. Next, let's head over to the view controller and we'll add a corner radius to the button and the text container view to remove the sharp edges. You can add a corner radius to any UI component by changing the corner radius of the layer. We'll set it as 12 for both of them. Let's run it and see if it works. Alright, next we need to work on all our text fields. We'll set the foreground color, font and placeholders. But before that, let's change the tint color to black. There are a couple of things that we need to do now. First, we'll remove the 00 text and add it as a placeholder by using attributed string. Since all three of them have the same placeholder, we'll just put them into an array and call the for each function instead of modifying each of them separately. We'll use the implicit closure argument, which is denoted by $0, and add an attributed placeholder. Set the string to 00. We'll use a key font property to set the font. Use the color property to set the foreground color to black. Alright, now we can remove the 00 text from the text fields. Let's see if it's working correctly. Cool. Now we need to set the limit for each of these text fields to 2. Because if we don't do that, this will happen. Let's fix it. Set the delegate for the text fields to self. Now let's create an extension to the view controller and confirm to the UI text field delegate. We'll implement the should change characters in function. Add a variable called maxLength and set it to 2. Next we'll fetch the current text of the specific text field and convert it to NSString. And since this function returns a range as well, we need to convert the text into NSString. Now we'll manually call the replacing characters in function to replace the characters in the specified range and assign it to a variable called newString. If the newString's length is less than or equal to the limit, we return true. And only then the new character gets added to the text field, otherwise it doesn't. Let's run it and see if it's working. Alright. Now the text field will only accept 2 digits at max. With that done, we need one more function to observe the text field changes. Whenever we enter minutes and seconds larger than 60, it should automatically carry over the remaining amount to the minutes and hours and update the text fields. Let's add an observer that listens for the new characters entered by the user. Create an Objective-C function named textFieldInputChanged and add an input parameter for the text field. Next, since we have 5 text fields, we'll use if-else-if conditions to find which one is the active text field. I'll quickly write it. Recall that we have created functions in a view model to update the task name and the description. We'll use it here. Fetch the current text and put it inside a guard statement so that it returns if the text is nil. Call the setTaskName function and pass the text. Let's move the guard statement outside from the if condition as we'll need it for all the cases. Call the setTaskDescription function here and pass the text. Alright, back to the for each closure. We'll use the addTarget function to add an editing change event and we'll pass the Objective-C function here. Now we'll change the attributed placeholders for the task name and the description. We'll write each of them separately. Use the key font property to set the font as Montserrat. And the foreground color property to set the color as black. We'll add a target to this text field as well. Okay, we need all these for the task description. Let me quickly write it. Let's build and run it. Cool. Even if you change the theme of the device, the color of the placeholder remains the same. Let's test the observer that we added. We'll add a breakpoint inside a function and see if it's getting triggered. Alright, it works. Now we'll add a feature to the app so that the text field closes whenever the user taps outside it. Instead of adding it individually, we'll add a gesture to the main view to force close the keyboard. Create another Objective-C function, name it ViewTab, and add a tab gesture as an input parameter. We'll simply call the endEditing function and pass true. It will forcefully close any keyboard. Let's fix the task type selection next. We already are setting the selected index, but it's not reflecting somehow. This is an easy fix. We'll just call the reload function of the collection view to make sure that the change reflects. Great, let's make the image a bit smaller. Change it to 24 and 22. Okay, better. You'll notice that the selected type is jumping and it's not smooth. Let's change that. Remove the reload data and change it to reload sections instead. It requires an index set and we'll use the range constructor from 0 to 1 here. I'm sure you'll notice the difference. The changes to the cells are now animated. Let's add this ViewTab function to the view. Create a variable named tabGesture, add a tab recognizer, set the target to self, and add the action to ViewTab. Next, add the tab gesture to the view using addGestureRecognizer. Now the keyboard dismisses when you tap anywhere in the view. A common problem that usually arises when you use a tab gesture along with a table or collection view is this. The did select on the cells are not working anymore. Don't worry, it's an easy fix. Tab gesture has a property called cancel touches in view and we'll just set it to false. And that will make it work. Alright, so now we have got the text fields and the collection view working nicely. Now let's head over to the task view model and we'll write functions to update the hours, minutes and seconds. We'll start with set hours first. It takes an int parameter called value. Inside it we'll just update the value of the hours box variable. I explained the box class in the previous video and you can check it out in case you missed it. The new value is provided inside the listener closer as an argument and we'll use that value to update the hours, minutes and seconds text field. The set minutes and set second function looks similar to the set hours for now and I'll quickly write it. Now since the box variables are private, we'll need to write getter function that returns it. So we'll simply return the box variables inside each of the functions. Alright, let's head back to the view controller and we'll use these functions. Let's do it for hours first. We'll call the getHours function and we'll invoke the bind function of the box class and we'll update the value of the hour text field with that. We're also calling the append zeros function so that it appends a 0 if it's a single digit. And you have to do the same for the minute and the seconds text field. Fetch the value from the box variable and update it. Next we'll use the setter functions that we created for hours, minutes and seconds inside the input change function. Convert the enter text to int. And we'll just call the set hours function and pass the new hours. We again need to do the same thing for the minutes and the seconds. Let's run the app and see if the bindings are working properly. Well, there is a problem, and I guess I know what it is. We need to make some changes to our text fields since we now append zeros to single digits. What happens is that it already makes the count as 2 and therefore you can't add any further. We'll need to fix it. Let's go back to the replacing function. The easiest way to fix it would be to check if the text limit is 2 and if it starts with a 0. Let's do that. Let's fetch the current text again, this time as a string. And we'll just check if the count is 2 and it starts with 0. If it's true, we'll remove the first 0 from the text field. We'll add the new string which was added by the user. And we'll call the input change function directly. We need to do it as we are removing the first character of the text. Let's try it out. Alright, now the additional zeros are getting removed correctly and it is registering all kinds of input. Awesome. Good job so far, guys. Now we'll add the logic to carry over the seconds and the minutes. Suppose if we enter the seconds as 88, then the minutes should increase by 1 and the seconds should become 28. And the same should happen for minutes. If we enter minutes greater than 60, then our value should increase by 1 and the remaining values should be reflected in the minutes text field. Since these are computations, we'll do it in our view model. We'll check if the value is greater than or equal to 60. Create a variable named new seconds and assign it to value. We need one since we cannot mutate the input parameters. Inside if condition, we'll subtract 60 from the new seconds variable and increase the minutes by 1. And now we'll put the value of new seconds to the seconds variable. Let's do the same for the setMinutes function. Alright, it's time to run the project. Okay, so if we enter 99 now, the minutes increase by 1 and the seconds text field updates accordingly. Nice. Let's see if there are any edge cases that we need to handle. Oh yeah, it seems like there is one. If the minutes is already set to 59 and then if you add any seconds greater than 60, then we get minutes at 60. Ideally, it should have turned 0 and hours should have increased by 1. We need to handle this. So after the first if condition, we'll check if minutes went greater than or equal to 60. If it did, we'll subtract 60 from minutes and increase hours by 1. Let's see if it works. Alright, it's working now. Let's add some more functions to the view model. First we'll write one that combines the time input and we'll assign this to the seconds variable of the task model. The task model also has a variable for timestamp and here we'll assign the current timestamp to that. This function will be called when we press the start button. Now, to make sure that the user cannot start a task until they have filled in all the details, we'll have to create a function that returns a boolean value to indicate whether it's valid or not. We'll check that the task name, task description is not empty and that the selected index doesn't have a value of -1 and that one or more of the time variables have a value greater than 0. If all the conditions satisfies, then we return true, otherwise false. Let's go back to the view controller and then we'll use this validation function. Enable the button if it's true, else disable it. Let's create two functions for enabling or disabling the button. We'll override the class function and return the name of the view controller. This will come in handy when we push the view controller. We'll check if the user interaction is disabled and if it is, we'll toggle it. And we'll set the opacity to 1. Okay. Let's animate the opacity change of the button using UI view animations. Let's move the interaction toggle to the completion block. And we'll put the opacity change line inside the animation block. Alright, let's copy these lines of codes and create another function called disable button. Let's change the user interaction condition to check if it's enabled and set the opacity to 0.25. Now let's add these functions to where we added the comments. Let's have the button disabled by default. Alright, let's run the project. So the button is disabled by default, that's good. Let's add all the inputs and see if it's working like how we want it to. Yeah, okay, so this flow is working great. Let's run the project again and this time we'll change the order of the inputs. Okay, so 65 minutes should have converted to an hour and 5 minutes. Looks like we forgot to update the value of the minutes variable. Yeah, that was it. Okay, so the button isn't enabled even after adding in all the inputs. I think that's because we're only checking the task validity on textual input change. We need to add a check in the did select set. Let's copy the if-else if condition and put it inside another function called check button status. Paste it and call this in the select cell function. Alright, so all the functionality part is finished. Let's run the app on a smaller device and check if it's fully functional. It looks decent so far. Yep, we need to shift the views upwards if it's a smaller device because you cannot see the time input fields. The easiest way to fix it would be to modify the new task label's top constraint when the keyboard opens. Let's try it out. Add a new outlet for the top constraint and name it new task label top constraint. To get notified when the keyboard opens or closes, we'll need to use the notification center. And we'll need to create two Objective-C functions that we pass on to them. For the keyboard will show function, we'll check if the device has a notch or not. If it doesn't, we'll shift the views upwards by 20%. Let's create another function called keyboard will hide. And we'll restore the original constraint value here. Let's add this function to the notification centers. Pass the target as self, select a name to show function, the notification to keyboard will show, and object to nil. Let's do the same for the keyboard will hide. Add layout if needed to the keyboard show and the keyboard hide function. Let's double check the notification code once. Haha, I said let's do the same for the hide function and I did just that. Make sure that you provide the correct Objective-C function and the notification name. Alright, let's build and run the project. Great, the views are animating and shifting upwards when you open the keyboard. And when we tap outside, then it reverts back to its normal state. One last scenario that we need to handle is if the user switches to another text field while the keyboard is already open. Let's add a bool variable called keyboard open. And only when it's false we'll open the keyboard. Let's go back to the keyboard open function and we'll add this to the if condition. We'll toggle it and set it to true inside the function so that the above condition fails. And in the hide function we'll make it false. Alright, we are set and we have added everything we wanted to in this view controller. Let's end this here and we'll add the timer countdown and various fun animations in the upcoming video. I hope you enjoyed it and learned something new. Hit the like button if you did and subscribe to my channel to stay updated. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.